stay there as long as you can because it's absolutely magical.
Hi Big Life Bible, we're Sandy, Marc and Coda from AW Physio Finance. We've been on the road for just over 6 years. We left from Melbourne and we have no plans on finishing anytime soon. Why did you decide to do Big Lap? So we were living in Melbourne when we decided to do our Big Lap, and on paper we had a great life, we had good jobs, we had great friends, but something just didn't feel right for us. And at one point we just decided to listen to that voice, and we decided to pack up our life in Melbourne and hit the road, and we have had absolutely no regrets since starting. What was your life like before the Big Lap? So like we said, we had a great life. We were both working pretty intense jobs, especially Marc had a really intense job, and we could already kind of see it taking a toll on his health, and we were wondering, what is this going to look like in 20 years, and do we really want to just wait out until we hit retirement age and then we can enjoy the travel lifestyle, assuming we still can. And Melbourne just wasn't really suiting us anymore. We weren't really into the city life, and we always felt like every chance that we could, we were trying to escape and go away. So we thought something needs to change. And at that point we didn't know where we wanted to live instead. So we thought, let's just head off in a caravan and we'll find somewhere sometime along the way.
How did we prepare for our Big Lap? A lot of research. So we kind of worked out how much we looked at our credit card statements for a while. We worked out what we normally spend our money on and how much we spend our money on. We worked out where we wanted to go, which general direction was going to be the best way that we planned to go for us. But we also kept it very vague because we knew that we could have the best laid plans and it was going to change anyway. So we always had a bit of a rough idea of where we wanted to go, researched the areas, knew what was there to see, and then we also knew roughly, we had a pretty good guess at how much we thought we were going to spend on a lap, and how much money that we wanted to have in a bank account at the end of it. And then we kind of worked a little bit backwards from there as to how much money we'd need to earn whilst we're on the road to continue doing this lifestyle. So our setup, we've got a Ford Ranger that tows a Kakoda Force Caravan. We chose the Ford Ranger because it's a comfortable car. It has the weight limits we've had the car upgraded so that the weight limits comply to keep us all legal. And we chose the Kakoda Force Caravan after doing a lot of research at caravan and camping shows. We were looking for something that I could stand upright in most of the time, and also because we're both tall, we wanted to be able to sit at the table and not be hitting knees, because that would be fine for a short holiday, but when it's your life, that was going to get pretty annoying pretty quickly. And the Kakoda Force Caravan just ticked all the boxes for us, and we were pretty lucky when we came across it at a dealership. It had everything that we needed. A lot of things on the van are standard, which on other caravans are optional extras, and we got lucky, it just fell into place for us. So is there anything that you would change about your setup if it was starting again? We've actually changed our car whilst on this trip already. So we did start off with a Ford Ranger as well. We did have suspension upgrades on the car at the time, but we weren't aware of GVM and GCM limits.
Yeah, we had no idea about, even the weight of our van, and we knew a little bit about, how much we could tow, but we didn't realize that with our first setup, we were really right on our weight limits, and we had really no room to budge with that at all, which made things tricky as far as we couldn't have a canopy on the car, we couldn't have any extra stuff, we couldn't even have enough room for our dog. So yeah, it was a bit frustrating those first few years of feeling a bit stuck with our setup. So yeah, that's when we upgraded the car.
And even too, we upgraded the car as well as part of the business as well, because we now have a physio bed that lives in the back, which is a lot of the main reason that we have the canopy on there as well. And it's just nice to know that we've got wiggle room, that it's like if we see something that we need to get, we can carry more. We're not constantly worrying about being overweight.
What kind of camps do you stay at and why? So we try and find sort of free camps, bush camps, low cost camps, obviously because of cost, but also because they tend to be a bit more natural settings, a little bit less busy. We're not a huge fan of getting sort of
Campground
packed in.
suburbia.
Yeah. We used to stay a fair bit in national parks, but obviously now with the dog, those options are out. And when we stop and work, we tend to stay in a caravan park just for ease of access to amenities and having power, and just making life a bit generally easier when we're working. How do you find the best camps? So we tend to use your usual apps, Wiki Camps, AnyCamp, HipCamp. We have found though in recent years a lot of places are actually taking themselves off of these platforms. I think a lot of it has to do with council regulations, especially if it's kind of like a farm that's opened up its property. So in that case, word of mouth is actually a really useful way to find out about the best camps. So we're always kind of keeping an ear open for when someone's describing a camp that sounds really cool, pop it in a map somewhere or leave a pin on Google Maps so that we know about it. Yeah.
The best camping spot, I think without a doubt, that would have to be South Lefroy on the Ningaloo coast for us. It's a bit of a pain to get to, but it is definitely well worth it once you're there. And it is one of those ones there where stay there as long as you can because it's absolutely magical.
Yeah, you're camped right on the beach and you have one of the world's best reefs just a stone throw away, and all you need is your snorkel set and you can just walk out and there you are straight into it. So it's absolutely magic. And when we were there was turtles and there was whales breaching, and we just had the best time. Yeah.
Especially to being able to get to it straight off the beach, not having to get on a boat to be able to get out to the reef. It was just paradise.
If we have a piece of advice about picking camping spots, we have noticed in recent years that everything's just gotten a lot busier. There's so many more people on the road, which is awesome. It's great seeing everyone going out there and doing it. But it does mean that places get busier and they get booked up. So if you really want to go somewhere and there's kind of a non-negotiable, I have to get there, and it is a popular spot, and especially if it's during busy times, school holidays, long weekends, all that sort of stuff, the high seasons, then you just need to plan ahead and book ahead. I mean, we try and avoid that when we can because we like to keep things open, but there's just some places where you're going to have to plan ahead.
What's something that we knew now, or that we know now that we didn't before we left? I kind of touched on this one before, but the answer for us is weights. So I'd always known about the car's GVM, and I'd also always known about what the car could tow, but I wasn't aware at the time of the GCM. And so that's what tripped us up a lot. Or didn't trip us up, but it kept us very cautious at the start because our car by itself was fine in what it could carry in the car and what it could tow, but when it was combined, that was when we were getting too close to our weight limits. And that was one of the things that, even knowing, because we'd bought our first Ford Ranger specifically for this trip as well, was not even knowing that at the time that you could get GCM upgrades, and if it was done before the car was first registered, that it would be good nationwide instead of getting it done once you already had the car and it being legal basically for the state that you're in only. So,
which is important for us because we don't know which state we're going to eventually settle in. So if that's the case for you, then getting your suspension upgraded pre-registration is super handy.
Oh, both. Bless you.
Oh no. Maybe get him untangled.
Yeah.
Sorry, sneeze break. Good boy. What's our favorite thing about traveling? So what we love about traveling is that you just never get stuck in a rut. There's always something new to explore. When you're in a new place, you just really get to know the place and you get to meet new people all the time. It's just really fantastic. And so if we ever feel like we are somewhere and we are feeling like we're getting stuck in a rut, we just pack
time
up
to
and
move on.
Move on.
Which is a lot easier to do once you're in the caravan. If you're in a house somewhere, it's not as easy to just pack up and move to a new town as it is this lifestyle just lets you have that
Freedom.
Yeah, that freedom to move on when you want to move on.
Is van life everything you thought it would be? So for us, we think it's everything and more. We had originally thought we'd go for 3 to 4 years and then we'd probably find somewhere that we'd want to settle and that would be it. But here we are 6+ years onwards and we just have no intention of stopping. We're just absolutely loving it, which is why we started our mobile business. and it's keeping our lifestyle sustainable, which we're just super excited about. But there are a lot of, unglamorous sides to van life that you don't tend to see. It's sometimes dirty. It's, sometimes you don't know where you're staying that night, or you don't know where your next paycheck's coming from. And that can be really stressful and confronting for a lot of people. So, it's definitely not for everyone, and that's okay. But for us, it's just suited us really well.
What is the van life myth? I think there's probably kind of two parts to this one. One of the things that probably bugs us the most, or bugs me the most, is when you see people saying how van life sucks.
It tends to be a bit of like a YouTube trend, I guess, to talk about how much van life sucks and all these things that are hard about it.
I think there's two parts to that. It's like, if you're forced to live in a van because of circumstances where you're stuck in one spot, then yes, I get that. But I think if you're choosing to travel around in a van, I think your life is probably actually going pretty well for you. And
well, that's it. I mean, there's challenging things to lifestyle, no matter if you're in a caravan or in a house, and focusing on the positives is probably a better way to go than trying to find the things that are wrong with it.
And also too, like what Sandy mentioned before, it's not everything is perfect. Not every day is sitting by beautiful beaches. Like, you have travel days, you have bad weather days, stuff breaks. Like, we're 6 years on with this van. It's our second car and on the time. It's like rough roads, corrugations. You have some days where if one thing breaks, you're probably going to have another 2 or 3 things break pretty close succession to it. But it is part of living on the road. Is your house is a moving house. Things can and will break. It's just don't get downhearted by it and fix it and move on.
Make the best of every situation, I think.
A scary or funny time that we've had whilst traveling?
So we were going to East Arnhem Land up in the top end in Northern Territory, and we were driving into this campground. It was a bit one of the more inland camps around the area, and as we were driving in, we saw all these warning signs for crocs and swimming, and so we're like, all right, I guess we're not going to be swimming by the river that sort of ran alongside the campground. And then we pull up and there's people swimming in the water. And we're like,
and to clarify, when we say river, it was more of a clear stream.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't murky. It
yeah.
was knee deep in most of it.
Yeah. And like it was kind of like the stream, and then it sort of cascaded down these rocks into this pool and then sort of continued on. So most people were in that kind of bottom pool area. And we still felt a little bit iffy about it. So we kind of just sat in the cascades and got her, just sort of sat in the water there. And then the following morning I went for a jog, and then I finished and I just felt like I needed to cool off a little bit, but still just felt a little bit uneasy about it all. So I just quickly dunked my head into the river, and that was it. And then probably not even 10 minutes later, a fellow camper comes over and he's like, just so you guys know, earlier this morning we saw a 3-meter crocodile come from the lower pool, crawl up the cascades and swim off into the river. And I have no idea how close I came to this crocodile, but
also, sorry, Mum and Dad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But yeah, it was just a good reminder to be croc-wise, and just because other people are swimming in a waterway doesn't mean it's safe.
What's an item that we can't live without? So we have a fridge in the back of the car, as I think a lot of other people that are traveling around Australia do. And I don't like to say the word it's a game changer, but it does make our life so much easier. So we can do day trips away from the van, and you're not worried about keeping your lunch, like your food and your drinks, cold.
Yeah.
If you go past the shops, and you realise that you need to buy meat or something there, so you can put it in the fridge and not have to worry about, now we need to duck home and get that in the fridge.
And we can go on long tent trips, so sometimes we'll leave our caravan somewhere and we'll travel for 2-3 weeks, and we just use car fridge to have our cold items, and yeah, it just means we can be away for longer.
What's the downside of doing a big lap? The unfortunate thing about when traveling is that you do have to leave your friends and family that you've made at home. So you do make friends on the road as well. There's no substitute for the friends that you've had years of history with, and just being away from them, I think, can be a little bit harder sometimes.
And yeah, it just means you really have to rely a lot on the people that you're with, because you don't have that sort of tribe to lean on. And I mean, we've been very fortunate. We've still made, you know, lifelong friends as we've been traveling around, but there's a lot of just that sort of superficial friendship, which, you know, is still really nice. And, you know, we still have met just the most amazing people, and, you know, you have a great time with them at the time, and then you might never see them again. But yeah, sometimes it is a bit hard when you don't have those sort of deeper connections.
Or not knowing when you're going to see people again too.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, you miss out on things.
Yeah, it's like you do say goodbye to a lot of people, and you just don't know when you're going to see them again. Some people, they might be change their mind halfway through and they're at the next campsite with you. Other people might be 6 months before you see them again, a year. It's all, in all honesty, there's going to be a lot of people that you never will see again apart from on Facebook or Instagram chats.
Traveling with dogs. So we have Coda with us. So we got Coda about a year and a half ago. We had already been traveling for about 4.5 years. So we did that by design. We would have loved to have a dog much earlier, but we also knew we were going to national parks, and we knew that would be more challenging with a dog in tow. So we made the decision to hold off. And then we did most of our lap, as many national parks as we could get to. And then, decided to get him, and yeah, he's been an absolute joy to have. And, you know,
it makes it so much more fun too.
Yeah. He keeps us active. We explore more, I think, because of him. You know, sometimes after a long drive, all we want to do is just sit around, even though we've been sitting around all day. And he'll obviously want to go out and go out and exercise. So, he's a lot of fun. It does take a bit of extra planning. But for us, it's 100%
definitely worth it. So what was our financial plan for the big lap? Financial plan for the big lap for us was, we knew what our big costs were going to be. So we knew that we were going to be spending a heap on fuel. Accommodation was going to depend on where we were staying. So we kind of worked out roughly what we spent on average for the previous couple of months on food and just our general living costs. And being an accountant as well, I also factored in, went a bit more of a deep dive into it than what I probably needed to. But at the same sense though,
it's been very handy having the knowledge about our budget and finances.
And also too, it's, whilst there is the things that you've got, like your food, your accommodation and stuff like that, your normal bills at home don't stop. You still have your phone bills, you still have your car registration, insurance. So you need to basically be aware of those things there as well. You're going to be doing a lot more kilometres on your car than what you normally do if you're just in a city environment. So you also need to factor in more service costs. You're going to go through your tyres quicker. So it's trying to have as much information as you can to have an idea of how much it's going to actually cost you to go away. And because we knew that we were quitting our jobs and living on the road, we also planned that we were going to be working on the road as well to supplement or to counteract some of those costs there and to keep us going for as long as we can.
Yeah, and just having that knowledge kind of sets you up for more longevity, I guess, with your travels and being able to go for longer.
And it also takes like some of the pain out. Like, it's, if something happens where you have to spend money on a car repair or something breaks, knowing that that's not going to break the trip, that you've kind of planned for stuff like that happening, and it doesn't end the trip and send you home early, but it's, you know that you can deal with it and move on. So how do we afford to travel? So we did have a bunch of savings in the bank when we left, but because we've been gone for a while and we'd planned on being gone for a while, we knew that we were going to work as well. We did start off doing locum jobs in various places, but about 18 months ago, we actually started up our own business doing physio and finance. So Sandy, in case you hadn't worked out by now, is a physiotherapist.
Yep.
I'm a CPA qualified accountant, so we've combined them, hence our business name, which is AW Physio and Finance. And so I'm doing tax returns and general accounting for people on the road as well. Sandy's doing physio.
Yeah, so I have a mobile setup, so I have a gazebo and a treatment bed, so I can literally treat from anywhere. Otherwise, if there's a clinic in town with a spare room, I'll hire a room from them. And it just gives me the flexibility of offering physiotherapy even if there's not a physiotherapist in town, which there are so many rural towns that don't have physios or accountants. And so yeah, when we were traveling around the first couple of years and we started noticing this, we were like, well, you know, there's probably a need here that we could fill. And yeah, it's been very well received, and you know, we've had quite a lot of success in helping a lot of towns around the country so far. And
it's also a great way to get to meet the locals as well, because especially a lot more people are generally happy to see Sandy than they want to come to see to me. But there's a lot of the ones there too. It's you get talking to the locals, you find out more information about the area. Not everything, and Big Lap Bible does a great job of getting everything out there, but there's always going to be things that are never in guidebooks that you're never going to see or read about until a local tells you about it. And it's finding out some of those things has been some of the best places that we've come across as well.
Yeah, for sure.
What do we do to save money when travelling? A lot of the things there is we don't eat out at restaurants
very often.
Very often. We will go to, if it's an iconic pub or something like that, we'll definitely stop in and have a beer or something there. But a lot of the times we'll make our own food. We make our own coffees in the morning instead of going out and buying them everywhere. And it's a lot of the things there too. It does help too with a small space. Is you don't buy something unless you need it, because you don't necessarily have the space to store it.
Exactly. And yeah, I think also planning ahead, finding those sort of low cost or free camps, you know, either from the apps or from word of mouth, definitely helps. And we do find too, when we're working, it tends to kind of be a double bonus that we're earning money and then we're also spending less, because we're usually out and about less. You know, maybe on our days off we might go for a drive somewhere, but so you know, working does really help you save and build back up your bank account. What was our biggest splurge? So our biggest splurge was a trip to Horizontal Falls. And a fellow camper, talked us into doing an overnight stay too. They said it was absolutely worth it. And yeah, it was.
They were right.
They were right. It was absolutely magical, from the seaplane ride in to the boat trips through the falls, to the staying on the houseboat and the meals. It was just the most amazing, memorable time, and it's just such a unique place. So definitely encourage people to get there, and yeah, try and plan that one soon, because it is going to be shutting down access to part of it. So if you want the full experience, so try and add that one to your itinerary.
Immediate list. Yeah.
Yep.
So our advice for future lappers is do it. There's always going to be a reason to stop you. There's always going to be someone's birthday, a possible promotion. There's always going to be some reason to hold you back. And until you basically just bite the bullet and go, you're only going to be getting older.
And you're more likely to regret not doing it than giving it a go. And if you work out that's not for you,
you've given it a crack.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you won't just be wondering what if, or would I have left it. So, and yeah, it might surprise you how much you enjoy it, and you might be like us, think you're only going to do it for a few years, and then it becomes your life. So yeah, stop finding excuses and do it.
Enjoy it too.
So what's the biggest challenge of traveling with a pet? Like I said before, it's definitely more just of a need to plan ahead. So you can't quite be as spontaneous and go on a massive day trip, and if it's in a national park, obviously he can't come, so you have to work out what you're going to do with him. And then, if we've had to fly somewhere or something, then we have to work out who's going to look after him. So, yeah, it just takes a little bit of extra thought. But, a lot of places, usually outside of national parks, there's, locals that'll do dog sitting. A fellow camper will tend to look after pets. There's usually an option there if you kind of know where to look.
How do we find and choose pet-friendly campsites? A lot of the ways is through the apps that we find normal campsites. A lot of them actually have a filter that let you specify if it's pet-friendly or not. And it is one of those things, because there are a lot more people travelling with dogs now, there are a lot more places that are accepting of them. You do have to be aware though, some people do have restrictions on the size of the dogs, or the weight, I suppose, of them.
Yeah, and sometimes there's seasonal restrictions too. So like during school holidays, they don't allow dogs, but outside of their high period, they do. So yeah, it's always good to kind of check those little things. And also just be mindful of, you know, if you're doing a lot of bush and free camping, depending on where you are, there can be a risk of 1080 baiting. So just be mindful of that and
keep an eye on your dog.
Yeah.
What's one thing that we wish you knew about traveling with a pet? I think probably that it's not as hard as people make it out to be, and granted we might be biased there because our dog is a very well-behaved dog.
We're quite lucky, yeah.
And as you can see, he's barely moved throughout the duration of this video. That's not always the case. He does sometimes get the energy, the zoomies, but he lights up our day. He's a good excuse to get up and moving around. It's
a lot of fun.
Yeah, good excuse to explore other places that you won't necessarily go to. So.
So what's your top tip for making life easier with pets on the road? So I think the most important thing is to adjust your travel lifestyle to be mindful and inclusive of your pet. So, you know, if your pet doesn't like being in the car for too long of a stretch, then just know that you have to break up your drive a bit more. You know, if they need a lot of exercise, then make sure that you give that to them. And yeah, I think it's important that the trip should be just as fulfilling for your pet as it is for you, really. All right, I think that's it.